What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to you with another video. In this video, I got my boy MG here. We wanted to talk about NFL free agents. The free agency started, what was it? Today, right? It started today, right? Today was the first day? Which,
Is it today?
Thursday the 14th? Yeah. Which, by the time this video gets uploaded, it'll be Friday the 15th. So, obviously, day behind. But no, I guess nothing really big has happened in terms of free agency yet. You had some trades. You had the Keep Talib one. You had the Michael Bennett one. But outside of that, you had nothing really big has happened in free agents with another big free agent from another team is signed with someone else or whatever. Some guy got a big payday. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the top 5 guys per position. Now, like offensive linemen, defensive line, we're gonna kind of all group them up. So, defensive end, defensive tackle, nose tackle, center, guard, tackle. For offensive line, we're gonna kind of group them in like that. Starting with quarterback, which that's the one people always want to know. Top guys, of course, Kirk Cousins. Is there any argument there?
I think a decent argument can be made for Case Keenum, but
Yeah, with the season he had, he definitely had a better season than. See, the problem with Keenum, I think, with Kirk Cousins has had better seasons overall.
Yeah.
Like he's been, I guess, more consistent than Keenum, because Keenum last season was kind of like his best season. Other than that, he was pretty mediocre, pretty much everywhere he was everywhere else. But he does have a market, especially with quarterback. There's not being very many good free agent quarterbacks out there.
well, I think the Jeff Fisher thing is helping him out too. When you look at Jared Goff's success and Nick Foles' success and his success, and all three of them playing under Jeff Fisher for the last few years, and kind of how he was held back, and you look at it, and I think a lot of people are looking back at it like, yeah, Jeff Fisher was holding all three of these guys back, not just one.
Yeah. Drew Brees is on the free agent list. He's not going anywhere. So I don't even want to include him in the top 5. He's staying in New Orleans. They've had a lot of good things go well for them last season. He's not going anywhere. The other guy we just mentioned, Case Keenum, probably out of all of these quarterbacks on the free agent list, he had the best season last year. And he's one of 3 free agent quarterbacks for Minnesota. I think he'd be the one guy they keep just because of the season he's had. Teddy Bridgewater's, of course, on this list as well, but he hasn't played in the last couple of seasons. Sam Bradford, the knee injuries, that's really leaving him off. But those guys got to be included in that, kind of that top 5. It just shows you how bad, the quarterback, how bad it is for a quarterback in terms of free agents. That's why a lot of these teams looking into the draft for a quarterback, because you're not picking up a guy that's going to instantly. You probably got 2 guys on this probably entire free agency that could make your team better. Probably got 2 guys. That's Keenum and Kirk. So, but Keenum is, of course, up there.
You got McCarron right on the outside looking in of the top 5.
Who would you? I don't think he might be in there. Is that bad? Because okay.
I think the allure with him is he played that short stint for the Bengals when Andy Dalton had got hurt, and he played well.
Mm-hmm.
And you just haven't heard from him since. But I think that's the kind of the appeal to him.
The real question is, who would you take? Him or Teddy Bridgewater or Sam Bradford? Like, who would you take amongst those 3? I mean, McCarron doesn't have the history of the injuries like Bradford.
Yeah.
And
Bradford, I'm not paying Bradford at all.
Yeah, he'd be a nice backup. That's about it. He's not gonna get starter money.
Yeah, how many healthy seasons has he played? 1 or 2?
Not many. But
Yeah,
he got hurt last year, didn't he?
Huh?
Well, he got hurt the year before last. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then he started last year for the first 4 or 5 games
Yeah,
before he got hurt.
then Keenum came in, and that
Yeah,
was
so
it.
it's
That was
just
the
an
end of
every
that.
year thing with Bradford. So I can't. I'm as a backup, sure, but I'm not signing him as a starter. Um, but it seems like injuries to starters kind of follow him, and he always ends up starting. Um,
Yeah, I mean, he would be a nice backup for another team because he's a guy who he can make different kinds of throws, and so he's a backup. I don't think he's a starter anymore.
yeah,
He's not that
and,
starter.
and then Bridgewater.
He has the talent. It's just
I see, and the thing I was never overly impressed with him when he was healthy. Like
he played
he's
like
not
a
the worst quarterback
dumbass.
we've ever seen. Yeah, he's not the worst quarterback we've ever seen. So it's almost like, plus he's coming off of a major injury. We don't even know what he has because they didn't play him.
Nope.
So
Because there was talk that like they were gonna play him over Keenum. I was thinking like, well, how did that even become a thing with the way Keenum was
yeah,
playing? But yeah, they're
so
probably gonna let him, Keenum and Bradford walk. I mean, what's the point? What's the point in trying to keep you keep Keenum, you let Bradford, you let Teddy Bridgewater walk. I'm sorry.
yeah, and that's another reason why I got Keenum at number one. For which you would have to pay a Kirk Cousins in a case Keenum, and then you talk about their actual level of production. You're gonna get a better value
Yeah, because
for Case Keenum.
I've been hearing $30 million for Cousins. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're gonna end up paying Kirk Cousins twice as much you're gonna pay Case Keenum for virtually the same production, if not slightly less production from Keenum.
That's the type of money
So
you pay like Aaron Rodgers or somewhere. He can
yeah,
make bad receivers look good. Well, you kind of make up for that amount of money being spent on him.
yeah. Well, I get the feeling his annual is only gonna end up around 18 to 20, but the guaranteed money is what's gonna jump that up to 30 a year when they divide it and break it up.
Yeah. So as a top five quarterbacks. We move on to receiver. Allen Robinson, Sammy Watkins probably has this in terms of top guys at receiver. I would say
Allen Robinson,
it's
Samuel
tough, man,
Watkins.
because the receivers it's not bad for like a bunch of all the free agent guys. Sammy Watkins has kind of been underachiever. I would say he dealt with injuries in Buffalo.
Yeah, he had a rough start to the season too.
Yeah,
Here he couldn't either. They weren't throwing on the ball, or he couldn't catch it.
yeah. Yeah, and the Rams, I can even consider him being a top guy when the Rams don't let him walk.
Yeah, well they had who was their second receiver? Rookie.
Cooper Cup.
Yep, Cooper Kupp. Yeah. Which don't be surprised if they draft a receiver either. I know they want to keep Sammy.
He's probably going to demand too high.
Yeah, that's why they franchised their safety instead. They were trying to find a way to do it to where they can franchise one and keep both, and they felt more comfortable doing it this way.
Well, you can tell kind of what they're doing. They're really trying to build that secondary.
Yeah, they got rid of Ogletree though. I didn't think they would.
Yeah, and they traded away Quinn on their D line.
Yeah, but Sammy Watkins. I would. Allen Robinson. I would probably go Allen Robinson. I know Sammy Watkins, like in terms of overall production for somebody his age, is in a very small category of people in terms of the numbers he's put up by the age of 24. But when you watch the film, he's shaky. Like I don't know if I'm not paying him number one money.
Who are we talking about?
It's Sammy Watkins.
No, I'm not.
Number two money, yeah.
And it seems like he looks like he's going to demand that type of money, which is silly just because it's the receiver free agency is deep. It may not be very deep in the draft, but
and I think with the
good.
way the NFL currently is, with how many receiving yards are out there to go around, with it being a passing league, I think a lot of these numbers are obviously inflated, and so everybody's not really a number one. Like it used to be back in the day, you had your number one, and he would have way more yards than the number two.
Yup.
Now you got teams who got 1,000-yard receiver. They got two guys at like 800-900. It's getting ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So I think Sammy Watkins, in today's standard league, he's not a number one. He's not a go-to take the game over receiver.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson, I think, is when healthy.
And that, I think he on the free agency list, but I think he gets tagged. I think Jacksonville tags him because they have not used their tag. And this is their best free agent.
Yeah, they got Reggie Lee up too.
Ooh, yeah, they do. I don't know. I might tag Robinson over.
Yeah,
if I'm picking between the two, see if I can resign because Robinson's gonna come. Team's gonna throw more money at him than they do with Marquise Lee. So you're hoping that you can tag one, resign Marquise Lee. If you want to bring him back. But this is a guy that the Panthers need. I'm bringing that up now. This is a guy the Panthers need, but won't go after, of course. Other receivers. Let's see. Looking on this list.
I'm big on Bryce Butler.
Yeah, never got the playing time in Dallas. Never.
Anytime he played, he produced.
Terrell Pryor, I think, is up there. He had an off year in
horrible.
Right, I'm being generous on that. He had a horrible year in Washington.
Hands of stone.
And that's crazy because he was making all the catches with the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
When there were less options on the Browns and a worse quarterback throwing you the ball.
Yep.
How? So I think he's kind of a sleeper just because of the season he had in Washington. They're not gonna keep him because they're like, okay, you had stone hands, so we're not gonna keep you in the Redskins uniform. We're gonna let you walk. So that means your team can probably get him for $3-4 million, next year, 1 year deal or some shit. So teams should get a sleeper, especially if he brings up back anything from what he played, the way he played in Cleveland. That's a steal, for the money, for that kind of money.
Oh yeah, especially if it's a team that already has a number one.
Yeah.
Or even a team that's just in need of a guy to plug a hole, like the Panthers or like the Cowboys with the Dez Bryant situation, or somebody like the Bears who they're losing Inman, their best receiver, and you look at a team like Buffalo who that Kelvin Benjamin experiment hasn't been working out, or
Trash.
There's some teams around the league who could use a kind of a stopgap guy to kind of plug in. Potentially the Seahawks, with Paul Richardson being a free agent.
Yeah, and them losing Jimmy Graham, another option.
Yeah, so there's a couple of spots out there. I mean, the Packers, they're losing Janice and Allison.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers out there throwing to nobody.
Yeah. Randall Cobb has been hurt for 8 years at this point. Jordy Nelson, when he's on the field, he's good. He's just had 2 major injuries the last few years.
And Adams can't stay healthy either.
Yeah, and Devontae Adams is either getting knocked out of games or just bad ankles. It's one of the two. Yeah. So, there's some teams that could use a guy like a Terrell Pryor. The Steelers, with the Martavis Bryant situation.
Yeah, they would have to trade him, right?
Yeah, because they said they're not planning on trading him, but if there is an offer that comes across the board, I don't think they would turn it down. An offer that they liked.
Yeah.
The asking price is probably too high because of its potential.
Yeah. Next guy I want to throw in there, Jordan Matthews.
Interesting one.
Wasn't. We saw the talent when he was in Philly. Buffalo, when you got Tyrod Taylor throwing you the ball, you're not going to play very well. But I think he's a guy who he's not going to command a lot of money. Buffalo probably doesn't re-sign him just because you can really tell they're trying to, they're already looking for a new quarterback. They're probably trying to get some more speed on the outside because you got a guy like Kelvin Benjamin. Trust me, I know he's not getting by anybody. So They probably need some more speed around the field. Jordan Matthews is a good possession receiver, big strong guy. He could go to a team that could really use him. Team that needs that that big body at receiver, to get those tough catches. So I think he's another sleeper. Next, I think the fifth one, I'm fighting between Paul Richardson and Marquise Lee.
Yep, same here.
Because you have to look at it. I know you don't like Russell Wilson, but a lot of Russell Wilson running around was a big reason why Paul Richardson was able to get some of those big plays down the field.
Yeah, well,
but he made some plays.
Speed, there were some passes that were kind of out of range in terms of like maybe 5 yards, to the right or 5 yards to the left, a little too far. And he dove for him. So, I don't.
I would say probably Paul Richardson just because of his speed. Marquise Lee's pretty good once he gets the ball into his hands. With Paul Richardson, I mean, you always want a guy who can take the top off of defense, and he has that speed that you gotta respect. I say him, but slightly in terms over Marquise Lee. But Marquise Lee, anyone picks him up, that's definitely a good pick. Whoever picks him up in free agency.
There's two guys on here that if they stayed healthy could be in the top easily at the top of the list. John Brown and Dante Moncrief.
Yeah, Moncrief.
If both of those guys are healthy, they're problems.
And this sucked because Moncrief, wasn't he in Indianapolis?
Yep.
None of those offensive outside of T.Y. could stay healthy. They already had the issue with Andrew Luck and everything. But yeah, I agree with that, definitely.
Yeah, and then John Brown, he wasn't right all year. He got that injury early in the season and wasn't right all year. But if he can just come back in the season like he was the season before this one, problem.
But he's another guy with that speed. Teams look at that like, they see that speed.
Yep, and it hurt to have Carson Palmer be hurt or just not the same quarterback.
The issues at quarterback was definitely. All those guys' numbers suffered. Moving over to, we'll keep moving in. We'll go to running back. First guy I want to throw in there, I would say DeMarco Murray. Maybe not necessarily as the number one guy there, but I think I still think he has a lot left as a runner. You saw, I would say the season before last, because last year wasn't that good for him. Not good overall for that entire Titans offense. Offensive line wasn't as good. Running game wasn't as good. It was still good, but Henry was the main guy. DeMarco Murray ended up getting hurt. Didn't play in the playoffs. Didn't play in the end of the season. So I think he's a guy that still has a lot left.
I think people are just worried about his age.
Yeah, that's the thing. Let's see. Carlos Hyde, San Francisco. I'm surprised that San Francisco doesn't try to retain him.
Yeah,
because they probably can get him cheap, just because he is a bit older, and most people are not going to pay to get an older running back. So he's another guy that
plus they got what's it called? They started going two backs. They started going to two back game instead of him being the feature back.
Yeah.
With, I can never remember his last name. Begins with a B. I can never remember his last name for the life of me.
Let's see.
That's gonna kill me when I find
He's on the Niners as well?
Yeah. But it was like early into the season. They went with the two-back system.
Yeah. And I think with that offense getting better, you got your quarterback of the future. You get some weapons around him. You shouldn't be letting quality guys like Carlos Hyde go. So I think they keep him in San Francisco. Next guy, Dion Lewis. I don't think the Patriots keep him. They don't like to pay running backs anyway. And he's a guy who can run the ball between the tackles, and probably his best attribute, as you saw, as a Patriot, receiving ability. Teams are going to look at that, especially with more teams using those running backs who cause matchup problems coming out of the backfield against those linebackers. He's going to get paid more than you think.
Probably end up the highest paid free agent running back.
But yeah, because of his receiving abilities, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next running back. Looking at the free agent list.
Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, there's another guy. Yep, there's another guy, and I think he's kind of on the way out just because of we know which guy's coming back from Minnesota.
Oh, Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook's gonna come back, so he's kind of the odd man out. Although, and they'd rather keep someone just because he may command more money than what they want to give him, especially as a guy that they're probably gonna have a two back. Because they don't want Dalvin Cook to, of course, carry the load coming off a major injury. But he's a guy easily going to go under the radar. He's easily, as a runner, as a receiver, he's going to go under the radar.
Won that position from Latavius Murray.
Yep.
So I like Jerick McKinnon. He runs hard too, even though he's a smaller guy.
Yeah.
He's not one of those tiptoe guys.
Who would you say that last guy do? Because it drops off after McKinnon. Looking at this list, it drops off after McKinnon.
It's a toss up between Doug Martin and Jeremy Hill.
How's Doug Martin?
My problem with Doug Martin is either injured or suspended.
Yeah.
He had a decent year last year, though, but that Bucs offensive line is horrible.
So I'll probably say Doug Martin. Because you can say the same. You can say the same thing with Cincinnati with their offensive line.
Yeah,
but Jeremy Hill was already on the way out.
Yeah, he was just getting. He's been on the verge of being replaced for 2 years now. That's why they drafted Giovanni Bernard and then Mixon. So
yeah, so they get him out of there. I'll say Doug Martin. I mean, he's probably going to be that name value guy, just because he was you go back a few years ago, he was a beast. But,
yeah, he was.
But then the injuries, suspensions, and everything like that, and maybe that kind of extended his career. Getting suspended, sitting out games and stuff like that. But, so I'll say he's definitely up there. I'll give him the edge over Jeremy Hill.
Yeah, I think. Well, there's only really one feature back, and that's Dion Lewis. Everybody else are either guys who are going to be who should be backups, or be part of a two-back system.
Yeah. Moving over to tight end. Let's see. Jimmy Graham. I think a lot of people look at his numbers and they don't look at how flawed that Seattle offense really was. That Seattle, not only the offensive line, you see a lot of times Russell Wilson's running for his life, but also they don't have a bunch of talent. We talked about Paul Richardson. His name's not coming. I can't even think of his name. Seattle
Doug
receiver.
Baldwin?
Yeah, I was like Doug something. I couldn't remember his name. Doug Baldwin's the other guy who makes a lot of insane catches. But outside of that, with Russell Wilson having to run for his life, a lot of you're not gonna make the same plays. But if he goes back to New Orleans, which that's the rumor or whatever, he could really help out a team. He could really help out New Orleans, that's probably because who they currently have at tight end. Kobe Fleener. They got Fleener right now.
Oh,
at tight end.
Yeah, Fleener.
Yeah, he could easily get that job with Fleener. He still has a lot of talent left, I think.
Oh yeah, and even if they keep Fleener there, I mean, they still won't have a blocking tight end, but
Nah, they won't.
we've seen how two tight end sets work. You know how well two tight end sets work in in this league when you have two great receivers for tight ends.
Next, I would say Tyler Eifert.
Yep.
We saw that year that he had in Cincinnati. I think it was a couple years ago. He had like 10 or 11 touchdowns or something like that.
Yep, got hurt in the past year. Got hurt early in the season.
Yeah, and couldn't do anything. So honestly, you could probably argue him up there with probably past Jimmy Graham. But the injuries probably what kind of held him back to be a little bit higher. But he's definitely up there. I don't know what Cincinnati does, just because someone's gonna throw some money at him with a big, tall tight end. He's still probably gonna command a good amount of money, maybe. But the injuries probably keeps him from making as much as most people would think.
Yeah, I like Tyler Eifert, but I think Cincinnati right now. If you're a player in Cincinnati, you got to be thinking about a change of scenery, especially with them keeping Marvin Lewis around.
Yeah, that place is a disaster. Next, Trey Burton. What do you think about that? I mean, obviously he has a better player starting over him, and Zach Ertz in Philly. So obviously he's the odd man out. So really couldn't see what he was able to do, but tight end's not very deep. So who knows what really happens with him? You also have Austin Seferian Jenkins. And
That's my guy right there.
Yeah, I know he doesn't like that one. This list isn't in no particular order. It's just talking about like the top 5 guys that probably will end up on that will end up on a team. I don't know. The Jets may end up keeping him. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of cap space.
Yeah, they do. He's still young too, so I mean, you got to pay him.
Yeah, so there's a good chance the Jets will keep him. Last guy, who you think?
Antonio Gates is staying with the Chargers. I highly doubt he leaves.
Yeah, that's pretty. Martellus Bennett.
Martellus Bennett's interesting. Virgil Green's also interesting.
Yeah,
he's got some talent, but really hasn't had anybody to throw him the ball.
And Martellus Bennett just can't get a break. You go to Green Bay, you go to New England, you course win a Super Bowl with them. Then they let you go in the off season. You go to Green Bay, things fall apart. You go back to New England. You really don't play, and you're gone again.
I think Niles Paul is an interesting one. Obviously, he's been backing up Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
And Vernon Davis. And Luke Wilson's also another interesting one. Backing up Jimmy Graham. But he's had some solid games over his career.
What's funny is I think that's the guy that the Seahawks end up trying to keep because he's cheap.
Yeah. So, Crockett Gilmore's on this list too.
Yeah.
Which, despite Flacco being his quarterback.
Oof. Yeah, you're not gonna get big numbers with playing with Flacco.
Yeah, huh. I'm gonna go with Crockett Gilmore.
Okay. Let's see. Moving over to offensive linemen. Matter of fact, we're just gonna do offense because the video went for kind of a while. We're gonna just do offense, then we're gonna do defense in another video. Offensive linemen, starting out with Andrew Norwell, top guy. Panthers need to resign him. I talked about this on Twitter. The Panthers. I talked about this on my last video. They have to resign this guy as a Panther, but he's gonna command a lot of money coming out as the best offensive lineman in a very weak offensive lineman free agent market. So He's definitely gonna command a lot of money. I would say, definitely the top uh, offensive lineman. Um, Next, you would say Nate Solder.
Yeah, easily Nate Solder.
Yeah, I don't think the Patriots pay him. He's going to command too much money, and he's protecting the quarterback's blind side. So he's definitely going to command a lot of money. So I don't see the Patriots keeping him. Patriots probably, I figured, to already move on past him. Probably going to get some guy in the sixth round. But he's a guy definitely. I believe he's about 30. So he's a guy that's gonna command some. He's gonna command some money just for the simple fact he is 30, he's still in his prime. Uh,
Yeah, an offensive lineman usually their primes last a while.
yeah, exactly.
Well, not their prime, but they can still be productive even at an older age.
Hmm.
Should I say?
So he's another guy that's gonna command. Him, Nate Solder, and Noah is gonna definitely command a lot of money because these guys you can immediately plug into an offensive line, and if you have that need, and they'll probably make your team better. Even though Nate Solder kind of had an off year, it wasn't as good as in the past, but like I said, it's a weak offensive lineman free agency. Next, Justin Pugh.
Yep. Giants actually losing two people off of that line.
I would say
Pugh and Richburg.
he's not going to get as much money as the top two guys. I think those guys are going to get a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and also the back injury.
Mm.
The back injury was really slowed him down. But not a lot of offensive linemen and teams that really need to improve the offensive lineman where they got complete garbage there. You got to look at a guy like that. Which tries the Giants try to keep him.
All right, they got to do something. Like I said, they're losing a tackle and a center.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Pugh's definitely the more likely person to get paid more. I mean, neither one of those guys necessarily had a good year this past year either.
No, they didn't.
So, I mean, the Giants' offensive line was getting wrecked.
Just shows you how crap the offensive line free agency.
Yeah, right.
Who would you say is next? Oh gosh, it's a drop. After that, it's a huge drop off.
Let me see. Oh Lord, Matt Slauson, come on.
Ew. Gosh.
Actually, I think Travis Swanson is going under the radar. The Lions' offensive line wasn't the greatest, but he was one of the least of my worries when it came to the Lions' offensive line.
It's tough.
Josh Sitton. There's really not a lot out there.
Ryan Jensen for Baltimore. Problem is Baltimore's offense looks so bad. It's hard to say anybody looked good.
Yeah. I don't know if that was the offensive line's problem though.
No, it wasn't.
So to speak.
Not lack of talent, and you got Joe Flacco throwing the ball. He's a bum.
Yeah, I mean Ryan Jensen.
Josh Klein. Even though the Titans offensive line had a huge drop off.
Oh.
They were road paving a couple years ago, and this most recent season just wasn't going down like that. But that's just the state. Of looking at this list, that's the state of offensive lineman.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Travis Swanson.
Okay.
I think he's being undervalued.
John Sullivan, St. Louis Rams. I'm just naming guys at this point. It's like,
I mean, LA Rams.
yeah. Did I say St. Louis? I did say
It's
St.
starting to
Louis.
get out the habit when you've been saying it your whole life.
I know, man. I'm just saying, like, oh my gosh, last couple of years, because I remember picks. I still call the Chargers the San Diego
I do
Chargers.
too.
I'm like, man, I'm just gonna like forget it, just let it stick. But yeah, we love. No, that pretty much does it. Offensive lineman is clearly the weakest positions. You know, referring to guard, tackle, center, out of all the free agency. So you're gonna see guys who didn't play that well last year, or probably isn't even that good, get paid a lot of money. Because, like I said, there's probably 2-3 guys that deserve, a big contract. I would say 2 for me. Other than that, you're gonna see some other guys get overpaid, just because offensive line play was bad last year. A lot of people forget that offensive line play was bad. All these teams, the Titans who had a good offensive line, they struggled. The Cowboys who had a good offensive line, you're looking at last year, struggled with pass blocking. With all the everything surrounding the suspension and everything. Obviously, even then they weren't road paving the way they were the season before.
Yeah, I mean, and usually, like, at the beginning of the season, offensive lines are a couple weeks slow to get going, especially the good ones.
Well,
Usually after like the 4th, 5th week, the offensive lines start to kick it in. But this year, it just never happened.
the best offensive line last year was the Saints, without question. The best offensive line. They had a top 5 run game, top 5 passing. What was the top 5 passing game? I think it was pretty close. I would say they had both were in the top 10, and the running game was the big surprise. Obviously, the play of Kamara was a huge surprise. He was a guy that came in undrafted. But the play of that offensive line, they were easily the best offensive line last season, and they pretty much kept that offensive line intact. So they're still going to have that offensive line there. But that pretty much does it. We're going to come at some point, probably the weekend or whatever, and we're going to do the defense. That's if deals don't already happen between now and maybe Sunday we'll do a video. But we're going to do defense because this video did go on a while. But, of course, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.